Perfect. Ready to go. Thank you guys.
Okay, great. Okay, for everybody who just joined in, we are some of the representatives of the SHIP Illinois chapter, and so we're going to be presenting to you guys about the marketing and recruitment strategies that we use throughout the school year. So, like I said earlier, my name is Serato Paramo. Most of the people in my chapter call me Jerry, so you'll probably hear that very often. But I am the president of SHIP at University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign.
Hello everyone. My name is Crystal Hernandez. I'm the internal vice president at SHIP UIC.
Hi everyone, my name is Maria Maldonado and I am the publicity chair here at SHIP UIC.
Right. So, one of the biggest things that comes off when you're trying to recruit and you're trying to do some of that first marketing is trying to figure out who exactly you want to reach. Who are you targeting? Because this gives you a specific pinpoint way um, to find out like what is it that people are wanting, who is it that wants it, and how can we connect to them. So for us at our chapter, we focus heavily on recruiting all Hispanic students. So we have a saying, if you're not an engineer, don't fear. And I'm proud to say that Maria herself is not an engineering major, but has made great strides for our chapter and is our publicity chair on our executive board. So because we're trying to recruit all Hispanic students on our campus and trying to get all of them included into our familia, we're using any opportunities to recruit new students and our allies. So this can be major specific events. It could be women in engineering events, but also our Hispanic Cultural House. Um, those events are open to anybody who is Hispanic, Latin, or even allies of those orgs. And so one of the biggest parts that they put on is the Paleta Social. And so all the La Casa, which is our Hispanic Cultural House, all the orgs that are part of that, whether it be the business orgs, the fraternal orgs, or some of just more social and recreational Hispanic orgs, they all go to that and we still recruit there. Um, Along with any other opportunity that we're given on campus. So some of those may include general campus events. Like one of them that they do at University of Illinois is called Illini Fest. It's a campus-wide recruitment and engagement opportunity, and SHIP will table at that, even though it's not specifically for engineers. And we might talk to many students who are in the liberal arts and sciences, or in the communication colleges, or in the College of Business. Along with that, we really try to make engaging and real connections. So we try to have, when we have other orgs who partner with us, whether they be a Hispanic org or a non-Hispanic org, we really make sure that we're making these real connections by having like stable events with them. So many orgs reach out to us to show a flyer and just be like, hey, can you tell your members about this? But we believe more in active collaboration. So having an event, whether it be a social or a technical workshop or something similar, and bringing all those students together so they can meet our students, we can meet their students, and our executive boards can mingle so we can kind of understand where we want to go from there. And so that's how we get a lot of our students to join other orgs and how we have students from other orgs join us. So an example of that is a VEX Illini, or Illini VEX on our campus. They are not a Hispanic org, but they've partnered with us and we're doing socials and technical workshops so that we have a SHIP adjacent Illini tech team. So yeah. Next thing is challenges with reaching our audience. So obviously we have our target audience, but there are kind of challenges that come up because just because we've identified we want to reach all these Hispanic students, what is going to be those roadblocks that prevent us from reaching out to those people? And so one of the biggest challenges we have as such a large chapter, but that we see with some of our counterparts that are some of the smaller chapters, is retaining existing members. And so when we kind of realized that issue a couple of years ago, we started to emphasize what we offer to those existing members. So for us, that's going to be our active membership benefits. So we have a specific active membership, which is not a dues system, but is more of just an attendance system. We require that you attend 16 events over the course of the whole academic year, with two events under each of our 4 pillars, which are professional, leadership, academic, and familia. And so professional development, leadership development, whether that's going to our committees or to our leadership workshops. The familia is very simple. That's all our social events put on by our membership committee. And then the or sorry, that's our chapter pillar, but Familia. And then our academic pillar, which is any of our academic events, like our 4-year planning workshops, resume reviews, or just our study hours that we offer. And so when they get their active membership, they get access to our specific SHIP UIUC scholarship, which is funded by our alumni and goes through the College of Engineering here. But they also get access to convention support. And so that's what comes from our budget and helps us send our members to the national convention. Along with that, we offer the ability to have mentor and mentee opportunities. So for returning members, they might be mentors, but they can also be mentees with our more specific mentorship program, which connects with some of our alumni and industry partners. Along with that, to be an active member also allows you to be on our leadership team. So under our executive board, we have leaders or leads. And so they are kind of like subcommittees of each of the groups that we have. But like I said, understanding those needs requires dedicated time and materials to those different portions of your audience that you're reaching out to. So specifically, a graduate ambassador and a graduate development team, that's how we focus resources to acquiring some of those graduate students and retaining them within our chapter. I'm happy to say that over the past year and into this year, our graduate ambassador has increased the amount of graduate students by over 100%. So now we're at, I think, about 20 to 25 students who regularly go to the events. Along with that, something that Crystal, our IVP, will touch on is the new member e-board and transfer student initiatives. She works heavily as the internal vice president to recruit and keep the new members engaged. And then along with that, going back to kind of retaining those existing members is open committees. So everything from our social events to our fundraisers to even our e-board meetings are all open. And so any general member can go to those and give their input and be heard on what they want to see our chapter do or what they think our chapter can improve on. But like I said, there's also the new member aspect of retaining members and reaching that audience. And so what we really see is that we need to keep their attention. You know, there's so many orgs that they get on campus, whether it be a freshman or a transfer student. There's so many opportunities for them to get involved, especially at such a large university like U of I. And so we offer that new member roundtable, which is specifically for our new members. Crystal will talk more about that. And then mentee opportunities from major specific students, as well as that professional support. And then, as I said, we really try to hammer home that academic support with our academic committee. They do those 4-year planning workshops. They offer the major representatives. So I am the major representative for bioengineering. So I talk to a lot of the underclassmen about, hey, here are the different tracks that you can take to finally graduate, or here's how you can transfer from being just a bioengineering student to going into pre-med or pre-dental or even PhD studies like that. And we do that with the help of our graduate ambassador. And so we try to be that all-in-one hub for our first-time members is essentially what we try to do in order to keep those new members' attentions. So as we're trying to reach our audience and get them involved and keep them involved, we need to show them our value proposition. You know, what is it that we're really giving them? What do they get from being a part of SHIP? And so the direct mission statement from the SHIP website is that SHIP changes lives by empowering the Hispanic community to realize its fullest potential and to impact the world through STEM awareness, access, support, and development. And I'm sure you guys have heard that many times. We hear it all the time at the national convention. We hear it at all these trainings. But how do we deliver this? SHIP UIUC, we have kind of some of our direct benefits and those indirect benefits. And those are part of all the things that we are offering to the students, whether they be a returning member or a new member. And so those direct benefits look like access to our SHIP-specific scholarships, access to professional development events like our career fairs and our resume reviews and our SHIPCon prep series. You can also get technical experience via our tech team, which works on an engineering open house project, as well as projects with community partners here in the Urbana-Champaign area. Being a member of our chapter, you can also get academic support and resources. We have a resource library, which is materials that have been donated from our upperclassmen members. So on the Illinois campus, we have things called like IO labs and iClickers. These are different materials that cost a lot of money, but our members have donated them so that new members can come in and rent them out essentially, so that they don't have to pay that $200 just to go take a class. And then, as I said, access to SHIP sponsor events and opportunities where we're kind of networking with our sponsors or recruiters. But then there's also a lot of indirect benefits that we always try to show, whether that be in our GBMs or at the event itself. And so that can include our mentor and mentee development. Like I said, we have our Grande Chico program, which Crystal can also touch on. And so that pairs our upperclassmen and our underclassmen. But then there's also the more specific professional mentorship program that we run. Then there's also professional network building via the alumni and graduate students. As I said, our graduate ambassador has recruited so many new graduate students. And an indirect benefit of our chapter is that you can meet those graduate students and see what was it like when they were in undergrad. Maybe they went to a different institution for their 4 years. You can see kind of where you compare, where you can contrast, and how you can use UIUC or some of their knowledge as like a launch pad for your graduate career. But then there's also just that community building. Obviously, we have our familia, whether that be what we have in our office, all around campus, or even at La Casa. That's another indirect benefit. And there's also volunteer opportunities. So whether you're going into pre-med, pre-dental, or you just want to have some of those opportunities on your resume, we offer so many volunteer opportunities through our HSO Community Service Committee, where we're doing different things in the Champaign-Urbana area. We're partnering with other clubs, and we're partnering with so many of our different partners. But yeah, and so as I say, communicating our VP, that value proposition comes in two ways. We have to communicate it to our members, and we also have to communicate it to our sponsors in the university. So to our members, we're establishing that at our first contact, which is usually our GBM. A lot of members will come out to our GBM, but we also have Quad Day, which at U of I is the day when all the registered student organizations are all on our main quad or around that big central area of campus. And we're sharing all the things that we offer. Here's the events we do. Here's who you can contact, that kind of stuff. And so you can see here on the right that this is part of the pamphlet that we are handing out and giving to all the members who came, or all the students who came by to our booth at the Quad Day. And so, we're really trying to emphasize our value proposition through our pillars, that familia, the professional, the leadership, and the academic. And we're also advertising the new member roundtable. It's every Sunday, 4 to 5 p.m. But then we're also communicating our events frequently via our Slack and Instagram. So Maria does a great job of keeping our Instagram updated, and all of our different executive board members, along with our leadership team, use Slack to offer our opportunities, to show when their committees are meeting, and to also show when their specific events are occurring. But then another part of communicating our value proposition is to our sponsors in our university. And this is really important to keep our recruitment up, because then we become some of the first contacts for the university and for the sponsors when they need an extra hand, either talking about what we do at UIUC or if they need students to help volunteer for different events. So setting up those one-on-one meetings with deans and the department heads always helps. Using figures and data to demonstrate our impact is also great. Sometimes these deans and your sponsors, they're not totally engaged and clicked in with you until you start showing them, hey, we have 481 members. We have an 82% increase in graduate students. We have $30,000 that we've raised from corporate sponsors, or, these different metrics are what might catch their attention and keep them hooked and interested in supporting your cause and supporting what you do on campus. And also just communicating how our chapter reflects on the university. So one of the things we often share is that our SHIP UIUC members are also leaders within so many other departments, whether that be the engineering 100 courses, which are the first engineering courses that many other students take, whether it be leaders within other orgs, whether it be presidents, vice presidents, that kind of stuff, or just the different jobs that our members hold on campus. So communicating that to the deans and departments and to your sponsors is a great way to keep your chapter funded, but to also make sure that they are able to connect with you in your chapter.
Yeah, so then we go into leveraging our networks. So our chapter personally is really connected with our MEP chapter, our MEP program. So this stands for the Moral Engineering Program. This is kind of the university's overarching program that we kind of work with, collaborate with, but that's just meant for underrepresented engineers. So us being in the middle of the cornfields, we have a lot of rural, Hispanic, and then any type of, I think women also fall into those categories, but it really just encourages our members to be involved in the greater engineering community. So like Jerry said, we love having them in our chapter, but the goal is also to get involved in the university and the college as a whole. Through this, we also utilize our advisor connection. He's really great with us and serves as an advocate in higher level conversations. So going back to how we are communicating our value proposition with our deans, it's really important to kind of push that to our advisor as well, so that he understands that the work that he's putting into us, we're also putting back into that connection. Another thing that we like to leverage is our major representatives. So we've had um, multiple different members kind of meet with department heads to inform them on our mission, and kind of going along with that, kind of create that meaningful relationship. So some examples are like our ECE, our electrical and computer engineering members. Because of the connection that we were able to form with that department, we were invited to ECE Liftoff, which is their own like departmental event for recruiting and all that stuff. Myself as a material science representative, I've communicated with my advisor and the heads of my department to also kind of create that relationship and be like, oh hey, like this is also what members in your own community are doing. Because a lot of times, if you don't reach out, some of them just might not know. And that's fine, but it's great to kind of get the word out about SHIP's mission and everything that your chapter is doing. In addition, we keep mentioning, but the graduate ambassador, he's really done a great job of reaching that graduate student demographic. So kind of with that, another of those indirect benefits to our whole chapter is grad mentorship. So say you have like a member who's interested in graduate school but isn't too sure about how to get there. We kind of pair up a current graduate student with somebody who wants to be in graduate school so that they can kind of talk and advise, just to make that process a little bit easier for them. Because for a lot of our members, they're the first in their families to come to college, the first who are going to these to trying to get to grad school. So that's really important to have. In addition, something that also falls under a grad ambassador is the undergraduate research advocates. So kind of bridging the gap between, oh, I want to do research and, oh, I'm in a lab. Because again, it's kind of hard to get that information unless somebody you know is kind of already in that realm. So making sure that that knowledge is continuously being passed on to our members, and we're able to kind of continue to grow our network in that way. So yeah, so how can we engage alumni professionalship members to mentor and connect with our students? So another position I really want to highlight is our alumni chair. So they ensure that we continue to grow our network and stay connected even after graduation. So it kind of goes to that loss of knowledge. So you want to make sure that when I graduate, the people who I leave behind, like they're still gonna know what I did. I'm still gonna be in contact. So we kind of do that through their bi-weekly newsletter. Right now, I think we have over 100 alumni in our database, over 220 in a Facebook group. Because when you're talking to alumni, you know, our chapters is kind of one of the older chapters. So you kind of have to think of what's the best way to connect with these alumni. You know, they're not the ones who are going to be like on Instagram or on Snapchat every day. So that's why you have to look to, oh, maybe they're checking their email more, they're checking their Facebook more. In addition to that, we do have alumni specific events. So this includes our tailgates. I know we have a lot of alumni centered around Chicago area. So we kind of try to meet them in the middle and we'll do like a Bears tailgate. Or we'll invite them to when we have our homecoming game. Our door is always open for them. In addition to that, we'll have the ShipCon dinner. So when we go to ShipCon, we usually as a chapter have a large dinner together, and alumni are always invited to that. We make sure to kind of spread them out so they're able to continue to talk with the members in our chapter right now. And we also have speed networking events throughout the year. So that's a picture that we've had of an event last year. But again, kind of continuing to reach out and make sure that they know that we are very grateful for everything that they've done, and want to continue to celebrate all their accomplishments. Something that goes along with that is our mentorship program. So through that, we pair industry professionals with our members to tackle case studies related to their work. So a lot of these professionals are coming from our corporate sponsors, and they're often alumni. So kind of again, continuing to say like, oh, we really appreciate everything you've done. Um, but a lot of the times our alumni, like because we're able to continue that connection, like through our newsletters, like making sure they're updated, they're like, oh wow, like that's so cool. Like they're able to see how their work in our chapter continued to like we were able to build upon it. And a lot of times they're really excited about that because I mean they were also here in our shoes, so they also want to see us succeed. But yeah. So as for recruitment strategies and events, like Jerry mentioned earlier, we do have our quad day is a big event, but kind of something that our chapter does is we don't make it a welcome day, we make it a welcome week. So that starts with quad day, but then making sure that we're engaging prospective or even returning members every day of the week. And through that, we're targeting multiple identities. So through that flyer, you can see we had collaborations with other orgs such as BILT, which is our underrepresented Latinos in tech, and then with our like Ship Tinas and our Ship Pride allies. So making sure that everyone is kind of welcome and finding their own spot. And like he said, we do participate every year in the Paleta Social. So with our cultural house, making sure that we're still being part of that like greater Hispanic community on campus, as well as E-Night, which is quad day, but just for engineering organizations. So again, making sure that we're still part of that greater engineering community, because as SHIP, set of Hispanic professional engineers, it's the best of both worlds. So we kind of want to make sure that we're still involved in all communities that we can be part of. And like he said, um, another big thing that we have is our new member roundtable. So as you can see from this little pie chart, so we surveyed them and how they first heard about SHIP. We have a pretty big scope of answers. One of the biggest ones being our high school visitations that we do. Often like we'll have like prospective students for our university come down. And so we'll kind of give them a taste of like what it is to be on campus, what it is to be and SHIP and all that fun stuff, as well as quad day is a big one. Social media, Maria will talk more about that later, but that's definitely a big one. But through New Member Roundtable, some other like key things I want to highlight are our transfership. So as internal vice president, I have my leads, my team that helps me plan these events. And so I have a transfership lead whose main goal is to target our transfer students and make sure that they feel welcomed into our community and kind of make that transition from going to community college or from a smaller school onto our campus just a little bit easier, because they do face different challenges than like a freshman first coming onto campus would. We also have an RTE board, so that gives new members the opportunity to like shadow the current e-board. So we actually just had elections yesterday, actually, no, 2 days ago. But it's really cool because they're able to kind of get that first experience of, oh, I'm gonna give a speech, I'm gonna have my peers vote. And then once they're voted and all that, all of the e-board members have their own counterpart who works on different projects. So I know something that my counterpart is going to get some experience in is writing SOPs. Others have them plan their own events, or how can we make this event better, or different things like that. So kind of depending on the position. And then another thing that we have is our Grande Chico. So this is our direct mentorship program. So we pair upperclassmen with underclassmen, the Grande and the Chico, and kind of get that more one-on-one connection. So it gets really easy to get lost kind of on a bigger campus, but this ensures that you have a direct point of contact, and somebody that you could kind of continuously build that bond for, because a lot of times you start as a Chico like your freshman year, and then if you do your sophomore year, you kind of continue that relationship and that mentorship aspect of it. So that's pretty nice. Next one. Okay. And then like I said, it's really important to remember that as SHIP, as Hispanic engineers, we're part of different communities as well. So El Caso is like the overarching Hispanic organizations. So this connects us with the broader Latino community. This includes socials, academic, and professional events. Something else that we have is our engineering council. So that's the overarching engineering or community. So collaborating with other engineering-based organization. And we have specific SHIP committees to tackle these collaborations. So something that's on our membership chairs team is an external representation lead. So they're the ones kind of collaborating with the other orgs outside of like SHIP, because our SHIP chapter is pretty large. So we have an internal and external, and the external tackles on going to the El Caso meetings, making sure that we're still like visible with these other organizations and we're still accessible, so that we can kind of continue to create that bond and share like resources and all that fun stuff. Another thing, like I mentioned, we have high school outreach. So this is a picture of our high school outreach last year. So we have a fall HSV, high school visitation, for interested students. So maybe they don't necessarily need to be seniors, but maybe they're thinking about going to U of I, but they're not too sure. So they're able to come, do some engineering related activities, talk to some students. And then with that one, their families are also invited. So they can come also ask questions to our members. Because like I said, for a lot of our members, they're the first in their families to make it out here. So it's really important to kind of make them feel as comfortable as possible. And then we have a spring HSV for admitted students. So that's more of they're staying the night in like some hotels, and they're getting more of the experience of, oh, this is what maybe the day in the life of a student looks like. These are some more activities that you could learn how to do, and kind of making those connections before they even get to campus.
Okay, yeah. So talking about the social media side and how we like to engage our members to join SHIP. So starting off with current trends in student engagement. So a lot of our engagement starts with social media. So mainly our Instagram. So like me and my team, we like to make like colorful flyers. We like to just have like pictures of our members, and then like finding events like through our social media platforms, like with visually engaging posts that seems to like um show more way for like students to attend to our events, incentivize engagement. So like for example, like food is always a big motivator. So like for example, like at our general body meetings, it's always like 100% certain that there'll be food. So that's when like most of our members will go. So yeah, and like having like snacks at like other events, like for example during our study hours, like to have some snacks there so people can enjoy. And yeah, so like just having like like a food involved, like it constantly draws bigger crowds. Community and belonging, so members engage more when they feel seen and celebrated. So like for example, like we do like a Shiptina brunch in March, and that's when like we represent like all like Shiptinas, all women in STEM. So it's pretty fun. And then yeah, we like to also spotlight our members. So like as you can see, we do like intern highlights in the summer, just seeing like what people are doing with their internships, where they're doing the internship, and just like inspiring other people for when they want to have an internship. But yeah, and we also like to do Shiptina highlights. So as you can see at the bottom picture, we do those in March. And yeah, we like to highlight our members and also our leadership team. So our e-board and our leads, we like to highlight them on the Instagram before like school starts so people can get like can see like who our e-board is and our leadership team. So yeah, just finding ways to show off our members and then their achievements and then hope to inspire others with that. Yeah, so next is she keeping up with what students value. So keeping a strong presence in professional development. So yeah, so we like to host like a career fair prep. We had one last month. So yeah, just bringing um different companies in, and then just having bringing our members so they can show up, hopefully like an internship, and just having like experience like talking to recruiters and stuff like that, and just having company partnerships. We like to have sponsors at our general body meetings. So yeah, just keeping a strong presence in that like professional development, and having community focused events, so like having just fun socials, like we have a Secret Santa in the winter. We like to do like a study lockdown, like slash Secret Santa, and then the other picture is from the spooky core maze that we do around this month. So yeah, just having fun socials to just like de-stress, just getting to know people, and like to highlight those on the Instagram and just the social media. And we also like to do feedback forums, so just seeing like um helping like just seeing what we can do to plan better and like listen to students' voices. But yeah, adapting our programming to stay relevant and appealing. So one way is that my team and I do is like we like to clearly like label our pillars. So as you can see like on those two flyers, we like to put like it says like chapter development or like the academic development, just to specify what type of pillar an events belongs to, which also helps like members know like what events is needed for them to like, or what pillar they need to them for them to reach that active membership status. So yeah, and also just being interactive, like we just don't like to just show like just a bunch of flyers. Like we want to highlight our members so we can like that includes like including polls, Q&As on stories. We like to like show like how an event is going like on our Instagram stories and hope that motivates people to show up to our future events. And just highlighting all kinds of members in our chapter. Like my goal is to just highlight everyone, not just like e-board leadership, but also just our alumni, current members, new members, just making them show that like that they belong in SHIP and then they have like someone that we have them like no matter what. So yeah, and also promoting content that shows value behind events. So we like to like show like the purpose of those events. So like for example, like a resume workshop review, like we just like to say like, oh, like this will help you with like professionally and just with your skills and just knowing how to like explain about your past like projects or like what you've done to like recruits and stuff like that. So just showing like the benefits you can get out of and hopefully people um take that when an event is done. But yeah. When it comes to what social media platforms are most affected, so yeah, the one of the main ones is Instagram. The numbers have gone up a bit, so I think we're almost at 2,200 followers since, and like before we started school, we were less than 1,000, so definitely or a bit or less than 2,000. So yeah, we definitely increased a lot, and then we just like to be consistent with our stories and posts. Um, Yeah, another thing is Slack. Slack is like the biggest thing we use to like it helps us stay organized. That's when we also have like our private committees there. So like all of our active committees are there. People can join whenever they want if they want to get more involved. Yeah, like we have 1,163 members. I don't know if that's correct up to now, or yeah, but yeah, just having channels for those active committees and just people to communicate more personally with our members, with our e-board and all of that. And then our newsletter that gets sent out weekly. We have 831 active subscribers, and then yeah, having a separate newsletter for our alumni, like we talked about before. The newsletter, we just like to highlight our events for the week, showing like all the flyers that me and my team made, and just having like more like of our recurring events and just our e-word info or contact info and stuff like that. So I get sent out every Monday. And then our LinkedIn, we're trying to grow more on it and then trying to showcase more like our professionalism. So currently at 130 followers, I think it could be more. But yeah, just trying to build credibility and visibility professionally. We like to just show more that professional side of SHIP on our LinkedIn. So yeah, with like ShipCon and just like our professional events that we host here at our chapter. And then if we're tracking engagement, so yeah, obviously these numbers have grown a lot within the last 2 weeks, but so yeah, like for Instagram, you can see that like views, we have over 543K interactions, 3.8K new followers, 240 since August 22nd. Well, that's up until September 20th, but like I said, those numbers have increased, so we definitely see the engagement that we get with our members through the Instagram. Same with the newsletter. I usually send out like a sign up form so people can sign up, and then I can add them to the newsletter so they can get that weekly newsletter. And then same with our Slack, as you can see, our members at the top. And then a way we like to also track engagement and to see if like people actually like see our announcements is we like to tell them like to react to our announcements. As you can see, our little like reactions at the bottom that helps us see that people are actually seeing our announcements and that they're actually showing up to our events. And lastly, where do our members spend their time online and how can we meet them there? So obviously mostly our almost or most students already look up to the Instagram for any RSO. So that's why we like to promote events there and have daily updates. We like to keep posting flyers and just communicate to through our stories. Like for example, we also, like I said, with like highlighting members and stuff, we also did eWord takeovers the past like 3 week or almost 3 weeks. So yeah, so eWord was able to talk about their day and just having people ask questions to them to see what we all do. So it was pretty exciting and yeah, and then like I said, for Slack, use for the personal communication in smaller communities. So yeah, like literally every day there's something happening. There's always an announcement. There's so many channels, so many committees active that you can just join. So yeah, just daily reminders, different opportunities, creating a community with our familia. And then also because the university and and companies like utilize Slack, so we like to have them see like what we do. So obviously we keep it more like professionally and just yeah, so you can just see like what we do as a chapter. And obviously, like I mentioned, the newsletter, many students already like use emails here. So like just having them added to the newsletter just to have them be reminded of our events, just trying to keep the newsletter short, consistent, and having visually appealing just so our members can see what we do here.
Yeah, so that concludes our presentation. I think now we will open it up to any Q&A from anybody attending, whether that be about our tactics, how we utilize our Instagram, or anything like that. We'll open it up for questions.
I actually have a quick question. In terms of like Instagram, how do you guys like, I guess, like, I guess, recruit from there? I feel like I do have like a little bit of a difficult time trying to recruit via social media.
Yeah, so when it comes to the Instagram, like for example, on Quad Day, we show our link tree and that's when we tell our members like, oh, like join our Slack, join our Instagram and just like I know it's a bit like hard just because I just try to make sure like to tell our members like, oh, like have you followed the Instagram? Like that's where we keep up our events and just making sure our members are also or our able like are like spreading the Instagram around. So just having like that active like communication within each other and just when people are like, oh, like I've never heard of Shape or like where can I see more updates? And like the first thing we tell them is like, oh, like follow our Instagram and like join our Slack. But yeah, usually the
I
main one is like through like on Quad Day. That's when like we tell like our members like, oh, like here's the Instagram, here's our Slack, like join, and then you can get the updates from there.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, go ahead, Sophia.
Hi. I was wondering if you guys had any advice for smaller campuses and smaller chapters because our campus population is only 2,300 and we have like less than 100 Latinos on campus and we only have around 30 active members and we're only engineering and we're struggling to get people involved because we're also on a quarter system. So our semesters are only 10 weeks long. And it's, I don't know, I feel like we've always tried our best, like attempting the same things that you guys do. It just never, we can never get like that connection, I guess, with the rest of our campus.
So you're asking how can you better connect to, so you said you have 30 active members, but you're trying to connect to that other aspect of the Hispanic community that is not engineering?
Yeah, like we're in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, and there's already a lack of Latinos in the area, along with lack of Latinos in engineering, and we're only an engineering school. So
Mhm.
it's really tough to get people to want to join, especially because there's like a little bit of a stigma on our campus about like community affinity groups, and we're trying to figure out how to connect more with our campus and like let people know because we'll have people that are like, "Oh, I didn't know I was invited to ship because I'm not Hispanic." Which
Mm-hmm.
like we've never ever said anything like that, but we never know how to truly make people comfortable to come, I guess.
Yeah, I would say one of the big things that I found is pretty helpful, especially with some of the events that we had last year, is having open events where it's like exploring the culture, and then having your members invite their, non-affinity based group friends. So previously, like Society of Women Engineers, they have a whole diversity committee, and they always invite us to do events. And I've strived to make those events just because I know so many of the SWE members outside and in class. Um, I've tried to move to make those events less of just a, hey, it's diversity because Ship and Nesby are there, and more of a learn about our culture. Let's learn about each other. And that's not only something engaging for the students, but it also emphasizes that fact that you don't need to be a part of the specific affinity group. Um, so I would suggest events like that that are more engaging and about exploring. And I think the biggest thing for us, at least, is just word of mouth. You know, have your members invite their friends to some of these events. And oftentimes it'll start with kind of like the social stuff, like we do the spooky corn maze, or we have like a volleyball tournament and stuff like that. And it's like those are really like non-cultural events that are led by a cultural group, and it can be their first introduction and their first touch point. And I think that's where it all starts, is building that connection and having like a social tether rather than immediately being like, you know, hey, you should know everything about our culture. You need to be, you know, the 100% best ally that you could ever be. It's sometimes just starting small with that social connection.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Any other questions? Okay, so I have one in the chat. We recently created a LinkedIn profile, which I will be in charge of. Do you have any tips on how to navigate a platform for SHIP? Um, well, I guess I'll ask because we're kind of going through this process ourselves. Have you made a SHIP? I guess how the best way to put it is, have you made your LinkedIn a person? Like, is it the SHIP chapter is a person, or is it a like company page? Um, because that kind of like changes how you're going to end up using it. Um, One of the big things is if you have it set up as like a company page, as if it were like 3M or Honeywell or something else like that. If you have that, then your members can actually utilize it as an employer. So you can be like, hey, I'm the president at SHIP UIUC, and they can put that on their LinkedIn, and it has a nice cover photo on their LinkedIn, and they can tag that as well. And it also allows you to invite sponsors to interact with your post or interact with other posts and put them straight to all the members who follow that company page. When you have it set up as like a SHIP person, it's a little bit harder because then someone always has to manage that account. And so it's like that SHIP. Otherwise, if it's like that kind of company based page, anyone who has given access can kind of post to it. That account can repost, people can tag it, and that's how you can keep engagement with that LinkedIn. Um, you can keep that engagement with the LinkedIn very high and always active. Additionally, it allows anybody to interact with it. We found that when we had like a smaller SHIP personal page or a like private group, you oftentimes have to not only tell your members, hey, make a LinkedIn, okay, now go follow our account. Now we have to wait for them to follow our account, and we have to admit them into that personal page. So that, you know, you kind of want to reduce the amount of friction it is to interact with that SHIP page. And then I guess the last thing would be just shout out like any of your small events, and shout out your big events too. So for Quad Day, I know we made a big post before Quad Day saying, hey, here's where our booth's going to be. Come meet with our members and learn about XYZ. You know, put the emojis and make it engaging. But then even sometimes we post some of the smaller stuff. Like we recently had the first Hispanic astronaut. I mean, it's a very big event, but it was a very small kind of thing that just happened on campus. He happened to come to campus, do a Q&A, and we got a picture with him, and we were like, hey, you know, it was great to meet with you and hear about your experiences. And so those are some of the small things that also drive engagement. Yeah, feel free to reach out to us, and I can also put you in contact with our external vice president who manages our LinkedIn, and you can talk more about that. Yeah, any other questions?
All right, everyone, we're getting close to time. UIUC chapter, thank you all so much for joining us today, for leading this session, for all of the valuable insight you shared with folks today. I want to go ahead and highlight some of the topics that you covered and some of the things that I think you guys are doing phenomenally. And I think definitely go above and beyond, right, the work that you do on the day-to-day. So one of those is the way that you highlight your e-board members before even the school year starts. I think that's a phenomenal way to build familiarity with them. Folks start feeling comfortable. They feel like they already know someone before even joining your chapter going into the year. So I thought that was brilliant. You also schedule meetings with the dean and department heads in order to collect important information. I think a lot of times chapter think hey, how many numbers do we have of folks that are attending? Which majors are they from? But there's so much data that's valuable to partners that you're trying to establish that give you a lot of credibility as a chapter, right? And you really take that extra initiative. You leverage your advisor beautifully to build those connections, but then you also encourage your chapter members, hey, get involved with this specific department in engineering, and you make it really intentional of your advisor is really putting their foot forward for you guys, but then you're also giving back, right, and making those connections worthwhile. Alumni letterhead or a newsletter is it's a really great idea, not one that I've heard before, but I think a lot of folks, they very passively keep in touch with their alumni, and that's a great way to keep them in the loop, keep them connected, keep them invested as they go on and start their lives and start the careers, and kind of put their undergraduate experience in the back burner of their minds. And then lastly, being intentional with what you're highlighting, right? So you highlight the intent of every event and you make it known, hey, this is why we're putting this event for you and it's made for you. And we hope that you get this specific value out of it. So just a few things I wanted to highlight and applaud you all for doing. Any last questions that we have before we wrap up for today? And if not, I hope the rest of you have a great rest of your week. Thank you all again for joining us for today's monthly event. Our next one is going to be on October 21st and will be on member engagement. So make sure to keep an eye out for that on your calendars. And thank you all so much again. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.